matter body, and you move into light, and you do it again with the next situation, and you do it again with the next, and by that we increase our vibration, we become a greater bandwidth, as Professor William Tiller says, and we have increased love. And that love resonates out, and we're able to do this sort of group work with each other because that expansion happens.
Which is nice.
Very encouraging to hear the panel present such a positive approach to 2012, and it's been quite inspiring to hear what each person has had to say. I'm inspired on many different levels, and it's been interesting. We've taken it to a certain level where we're looking at the universe and what happens during 2012 at that time. But I would request the panel to bring this down to earth. Now, what I mean by that is that I would propose that our Earth is in a tragic state. It's actually dying. The Earth as a planet, I would propose, is dying. I also would propose for the panel to consider that humanity is at a catastrophic stage, an extremely critical stage that has never occurred for millennia. And we see that manifesting all around us in the world, typically through the television, but not limited to the television, and it's accelerating. What I also feel is most concerning is that there's not really anybody bringing this all together. There's an option, an option tonight to bring everything together as far as 2012 is concerned. So bringing together these things that happen on a weekly occurrence now that previously I would propose would only happen annually. Major changes in the earth and the people who live upon it, that is now accelerating. So I wanted the panel to consider that and give some reflections in terms of where you feel your view of 2012 merges or combines with what I would suggest is a reality that we're all struggling to deal with. I sense, particularly in the beginning of this year, anxiety in a number of people in different situations, which is not necessarily being expressed. It's a sense of anxiety because things are accelerating to a seemingly impossible stage. Nobody is bringing it together. Nobody is really, I think, stating the anxiety and saying, well, this is what we need to refer to. It seems, I would suggest that time is we talked about time, but time is already out as far as our Earth is concerned because it's been abused so much, because as a race we've abused each other so much, and it goes on. Now, before I go further into that bringing down, I use the word down quite deliberately, I have to say I am a positive person. I am essentially positive, and I have a positive view of 2012. But I do feel a sense of it would be good to embrace this and bring this into this discussion so that we can somehow align it.
Well, let's do that, and let's start with Ted. Thank you.
Okay, yes. The very important point to recognise here is where your own individual consciousness is about what is going on the earth. And right at the beginning, I said that this time will be difficult for those people who are emotionally polarised, and you, sir, used the word anxiety. And just before, Teresa used the word, which linked in something very nicely what Eric said, and really joins this together, and that's why I'm happy to start this off, is that first of all we've got to look, what does Aquarius stand for? Well, as Eric indicated, there's the World Wide Web, it's an expansion. But it's also the ability with an air sign such as Aquarius to be communicative and detached. And I look around at the world and I see massive attachment to whatever. Well, attachment to money is a big thing. Attachment to security. And we don't have to go far into the philosophy to say that desire is 4 ways. And we know what the Buddha said about desire. And if we're going to put our faith in this world and this earth, and I think this is a lot of what's gone on to cause the gloom that there is and the anxiety that you rightly say, the desire for security. In truth, we have no security. The soul can pull out from us tonight, and suddenly we're in a force world called the astral world, and none of what we've got in the bank or what we own or what we want to have round us is reality any longer. And so we build this mire of illusion of what security is. But plenty of people are caught up in it. And I am saying to you, sir, that those people who are caught up in it are going to find this difficult. You said I took a positive stance. I said for those people who are spiritual orientated, I saw a lot of positive opportunity. But the earth the Earth's population has to have its consciousness raised. And if we take this a little further and we look at the desire for love and response and sex, and we look for the desire for recognition in the world and the desire for new experience, and we can look at what the teachings tell us, and particularly the Buddhist tradition, is that everything material is transitory. And it seems to me that we will only build a beautiful earth when we invest our consciousness in things which aren't transitory. And so maybe Alice Bailey is right in saying that in 2024 in Europe there will be a new Renaissance. And we know that what the Renaissance brought about, if we look in the Middle Ages in Florence, for example, we know the structures that can be built through man's artistic, the classical music, etc. And we have to return, I believe, to these type of values which are not of making. We've become too astrally polarised, and the astral world works directly into the earth. And I believe that the problems that we've got on the earth at the moment are because the astral polarisation has been down to the I and the me. And a little while ago now, Eric said that we have to give up the fear of living in that I that we're conditioned to live in, and trust in something larger, and actually be able to, through the detachment that was really inherent in the question that Teresa was asking, through that detachment we open ourselves up to life forces which, if we're down here in the astral stroke physical world, we are never going to experience. And I think that this is going to be an electrical jolt. Sagittarius rules electricity in esoteric astrology, and it's going to be a jolt to those people, and until we understand this, there will be more suffering, as in fact the Buddha predicted. So I'm not saying it's a happy situation for all, but those 4 desires I've mentioned, I think we've all got to look at our own situation and say, what is it that motivates us? Because if we look at this earth as a playground to play out those material stroke emotional desires, then I feel that we are in for more suffering and for more pain.
Well, there's many ways you can look at this, and we could stay here for a year and not cover them all. But I think 2012 is too small a window to put too big a burden onto it. If it is anything, it's a turning point, a fulcrum. But it isn't the thing, it isn't it. It's just a point where we can see what's going on maybe and self-reflect. But what I'd like to say is that we are the world. The world isn't out there and we're here. This is not about things, it's not about money, it's not about economics. It's about consciousness and awareness. And that is maybe where the turning point is, the value of this turning point is, that it changes our awareness and sets it off on a better footing. You know, when you think about it, what is the cause of war? In any war, and there's always war.
Somebody wants to make some money out of it.
No. Who starts a war?
A thought.
Our thought, not our thought, billions of thoughts.
It takes one to start the thought off.
Yeah, but you see, where I'm getting at, and I agree with what you're saying, in as much as what you're saying, but wars are the release of energy which is stored up on the astral plane. And it gets there by every moment that every one of us has when we have a bad feeling, when we feel down, when we don't like something, when we criticize something, when we hurt somebody, when we give up bad thoughts, bad vibes, when we get distressed, upset, angry, you name it, over and over again. And all those feelings attract to each other because like attracts like. and they build up on the astral plane like a huge bonfire. And every now and again, just like static building up in the clouds, they discharge onto the earth. And that is the cause of war. Our own feelings and our own malcontent and our own treatment of each other and ourselves. It's not Hitler, it's not some person, it's not a politician, it's not a policy, it's not oil, it's all our feelings that mount up and have to have expression somewhere at some point. And just like a crowd in a football stadium, when everything's going against one side, and then this feeling is building and building and building, they're fed up and they get critical and they get angry and they get annoyed, and then suddenly the one thought, the one action, the one shout, the one curse, and it just ignites like a and then everybody is doing stupid things afterwards. They think, oh, where the hell did I do that? I was kicking someone's head in. I'm just an ordinary person, I don't do that, but I did. And so this shows us that, you know, we are the world. Our feelings and our emotions are the astral body of the planet. Our consciousness is the consciousness of the planet. We are the planet. And it isn't this what if this planet is going into a sorry state, it's going to have a cataclysm of some kind and shake us off. It won't be the first time. In fact, it'll be the 5th time that it's done that. And then everything has to start all over again. And some of the good stuff that was managed to be salvaged and saved is reseeded back into the population. We are, after all, the 5th root race. There's been 4 races before us, Atlantis being the most famous one. And we're told now that seers have seen and the masters have said that Atlantis went into a stage of debauchery. There were things they were doing then that we're doing now, genetic manipulation and so forth, and experiments on animals, and building beings for specific purposes such as violence instead of for ordinary living, and using the black arts, particularly in concert with the moon and the vibration of the moon and the astral plane, and then water being the medium of emotions swells up, we get the floods, and the whole thing is washed out and wiped out, and a small remnant is saved, they're taken to one side and reseeded into the Aryan race, is what we are. We're back in the same point again. This is the same point. And we have to make our mind up. This is why the masters have given out so much knowledge in the last 150 years through Theosophy, Alice Bailey and others, to try and wake us up. But I think the key, I still think the key is the internet. Because the internet allows us to communicate and think globally. And so a scientist said not long ago that the internet is like a brain. Everybody that logs on is like a synaptic response in a global brain. It's a global network, and people are seeing this network in visions, stringing the globe like shining pearls. And this is our collective consciousness building. As individuals, yet working collectively. So I do see salvation for humanity in that. And let us not, just one last parting point, let us not think that the world is a lump of rock. She is a being that each one of us is like a grain of sand at the side of. Humanity does not have the power to destroy this beautiful, incredible cosmic being. Don't fear that. It's us that will destroy, not the planet.
The earth has a cell.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that, and I couldn't